feel like it looks like I have like literally just 2 hairs. I don't know why my hair feels
Yeah, I
so
think your hair
limp
looks fantastic.
right now.
I
Well,
think
thank
it always
you.
looks good.
I think we're the best trio ever.
I
I can say one thing about this trio though, honestly, like
Mhm.
we all have fucking great heads of hair.
You are
Are
right.
you on a crack?
Are you?
I
My
feel
hair's
so
very
96.
thin
I was like,
too.
I thought about this. I'm like, I could like put my hair in a different ponytail, and then I'm like, no, this is me. They're gonna just get my authentic
And
self.
I'm
You
glad
need a
you
blonde
did that.
bombshell though.
Oh,
Nobody can rock that side pony like you.
Yeah,
it's like the
With your little skull sweatshirt, like, are you kidding me?
I
Give
know.
yourself more cred.
She's so
Thank
much
you.
more badass than us.
I
want that
really
sweatshirt.
actually my goal is like right here and right here I have like some pretty cool grays coming in, and my goal is to like have it come in and be like a badass gray, but it's taking
Ooh.
way too long. I don't know. So that's my ultimate hair goal, is to have like really cool gray hair.
I feel like I'm either gonna go gray and it's gonna be like thick gray hair, like Dylan McDermott or someone,
Ooh.
or I'm going to lose all of my hair before it goes gray.
Mm.
God, I hope I never lose my hair.
Oh my god, if I lose my hair, I'm gonna be pissed.
Like I am committed to having decent hair.
I love your hair.
I love your hair.
Thank you. I really didn't try to start this podcast out talking about my hair, but here we are.
I used to
That's
have
been a
dark hair.
staple, though. Your hair's been a
Yeah.
staple in the podcast. Remember when we
thank
first
you.
started and we talked about the Larry bangs?
That was my
Oh
favorite.
yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys this Larry story. I have forgotten, I think, 3 weeks in a row. So like this happened so long ago, but we went to see Chelsea Beaker in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I was so excited. It was my first event that I've gone to in person. Yeah, that's true. And so I'm like, I'm not gonna sweat. I'm gonna be okay. Like I know I'm gonna have to park far away, but like I'm not gonna sweat that much. Yeah. I did like very, 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 very quickly, and like I was a hot mess. Like my face is red. Like the bangs. Tyler's like, maybe you don't look at. Maybe you just don't. You don't need to look at him. Like he was trying to save me.
Just don't look at your face.
And then when I did look, they were the Larry bangs, and that is how I met Chelsea Beaker. Chelsea Beaker met Larry Kate.
I love when Larry comes out to play. Let's do it.
And she wanted to hug me, and I had to like. It was the hardest thing in the world for me not to say like, I'm really sorry that I'm so sweaty. I was like, I just need a hugger. She didn't have to offer, but I was like, she is going to feel that I'm drenched in sweat. So that was fun. No air conditioning in the location.
That's insane.
And this happened at the beginning of September, so it was in the upper 80s. It was almost 90.
And Chelsea Beaker looks like someone that like just like pleasantly doesn't sweat and like always looks perfect.
Oh, never. Like I saw her bangs on her whole tour, not a single Larry bang on her tour. Her bangs are angelic the whole time.
I just bought the UK cover of her book because she's coming to Madison, and I'm hoping that they're doing a signing, but I'm not sure. But I want to get it signed because it's also very cool.
Yeah.
I'm so left out. I need to read her damn book now.
You do.
You guys
you
are
will
obsessed.
really like it.
Listen, here's my like Lana Del Rey
Yes.
lyric for this episode is like, I need to read the author that got Kate out of the house.
This is going to be the clip. Amen to that.
Because, like, what was it? Like, I think you interviewed RJ Jacobs in person, right?
Yeah, he was the first person I reached out to, and he was like, I'll drive up to you. And I was like, what? And he was like, I like road trips.
Yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise I haven't had any other.
This is the first, like, event that you've, talked about.
Yeah.
That you've went to.
Well, and a little good sneak peek segue here is part of it is because I do want to start offering services to authors. So help with like, I know social media stresses a lot of authors out, and it just feels like something they just have to do. Tyler's really into photography, and we make videos and reels for like our current clients already. So we also had this like perfect opportunity to go practice. And again, I went as Larry. So
Pictures look so good too. Like,
Oh
and
my
she
god,
loved
they
yeah,
were sick.
them. She loved them so much.
I know she's
Yeah.
very cool. I need to read Godshot now.
Yeah.
I need to see if her books like at the bookstore in Canada.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick it up this weekend. Fuck, I'm not going. Um, I have an embarrassing moment. Can I tell you what I did today?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've been reading The Last One at the Wedding by Jason
Oh.
Mhm.
Rekulak.
Mm-hmm.
I know I butchered his last name, and there's actually like
No, I think that's
something.
right.
There's something in his book where like the main character is like sick of people butchering his last name, and I kind of feel like it's like a dig at me because like I probably have said it like wrong 100 times. But I was reading it and I had 25 pages left, and I was like, oh shit, it's 5 o'clock, gotta go. And I sat here in the waiting room for the podcast for 10 minutes, like wondering if something happened because I didn't realize it was 5:30 and it was 5. I thought it was 5 o'clock.
Oh.
So I just sat here and I was like, where are they?
I
Then I
thought
like
it was
realized it and I was like, oh, I can wrap this book up. But yeah, no,
I
I
thought it
sat
was
here like
5:15, and I thought you were late and not coming. I was like, is Gare
At
not
one
coming?
point, she was like, "Is Gare gonna be here?" I was like, "Yeah, I mean, we've got some time." She was like, "Wasn't it 5:15?" I was like, "I mean, I think it was 5:30."
No, I didn't know.
I was
We're a
like,
mess.
nope, it's 5 o'clock. Here I am. And then I was like, oh shit. And I went and finished the book and refilled my water bottle and said a prayer and hopped on.
Oh, I Googled it, and because I recently heard someone say, I think it's in the audiobook, it says Rekulak. But then when I Googled it just now, it says Rekulik. I don't know if that's true, so we'll have to find out. I thought the audiobook would have been correct.
Well, I have an icebreaker. So, and the reason I thought of this was because Gare and I talked about this recently this week. There's a movie he told me to watch called Fresh, and it's great. It's great. But it's not a spoiler to say that there's cannibalism involved, is it? Is that in the trailer?
I think it's in
Okay.
the trailer.
I think
Yeah.
it's in the trailer. I
If
thought I
it's
was
out
going to
by
be
now,
fine.
yeah, if it's out, I mean, it's been out for a while. So like, if you haven't
It's
watched
been out
it,
for
like,
2 years or
sucks to
so.
suck.
Right. You could still want to watch it knowing that. I thought, I was like, I can handle it. And then I was watching and I was like, oh my God. Like, at least the way that they were depicting it, like, I was just imagining someone eating my muscles. Like, it was just so embedded in my head that I got so creeped out. I finished the movie because I'm not a quitter, but I felt so uncomfortable. And so, like, then that was the night I learned about myself that, like, cannibalism is maybe what I can't handle, even though I thought I could. So, did you have any things that you're like, oh, this in thrillers really pushes me over the edge?
Movies or books?
Yeah. Because really, it's like body horror is what I learned is like too much for me.
I would say body horror is mine.
Mm-hmm.
Fresh did not bother me. It's
Yeah.
more so like piercings or anything like going through skin in like a very strange
I
way.
know.
Like I watched a horror movie called American Mary, and I
Mhm.
absolutely loved it. And it was like gory, like, you know, but I mean,
Mhm.
it's a horror movie. It was kind of gory. I was completely fine until it showed somebody who like had the piercing where they split their tongue.
Oh.
And I was like, that was the most disturbing part for me. Like, I don't
Right.
care, like, Dexter's, like, chopping people up and, like, you know,
I
like,
know.
ba, 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 and,
You're
like, throwing
right.
them in back. I'm fine with that. There was, like, a movie that I've watched where, like, somebody for, like, I don't know if it was, like, for, like, I'm assuming it was, like, sexual gratification, would, like, hang from hooks that went through the skin on their back.
Whew.
Like, that stuff. No.
Mm-hmm.
No. I'm reading an MM romance right now, and a guy has like penile piercings.
Yeah.
Why did you say it like that?
I'm trying to not be like, oh, the head of his dick was pierced, but
I mean,
like,
that works for me.
like penile piercing. And I was like, I don't know if I want to read any more of this.
Yeah.
I would say body. Like I love Demi Moore, but I don't think I'm going to be able to watch Substance.
That was the other one. Like, I was so excited for The Substance. And, like, we were going to go the second night, but then we read the reviews, and I was like, yeah, it's probably not going to work for me.
I feel like books are a lot easier for me than on-screen stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. There's been a
opposite.
couple books that like weirdly stuff that I never thought would creep me out. Like I guess in the most recent Noelle W. Iley book, there was just like some violence against just like families that was hard. And then there was like one book called Sisters of the Lost Nation by Nick Medina. There was like a folksy story about this head like rolling around town. It was so weird, but
What?
like it creeped me out while I was trying to fall asleep. And I'm like, of all the things, like this folklore kind of tale creeped me out. But I think like as far as like movies and stuff, there's like ghosty stuff really creeps me out. Like The Sixth Sense scarred me for my whole life. And like if someone pops up in like the rear view mirror of someone's car, like or the back seat, or like in a shower or something, like that stuff creeps me out. But I don't know if they're like no-goes. They
Right.
just like, linger for so long. Like
Yeah.
sleep with the lights on type stuff. I don't know though. I don't know.
Yeah. Those were good ones.
And
Yeah.
I really hate certain bugs.
Bugs.
Like centipedes, like those like silverfishy ones.
God, I
like
hate
those are my
bugs.
worst irrational fear is that I can't
Mine
do
are
it.
snakes.
Yeah.
I can't do
Spiders.
snakes. I don't
Ugh.
care about spiders. I don't. Bugs don't bother me. Like snakes, frogs freak me the fuck out.
Oh, I know someone
Frogs.
else like that too, yeah.
Okay, so
I mean, I don't like them.
like probably like 3 or 4 years ago, I was like outside in the summer and I like came in and I felt like I had a raindrop on my calf and it was a frog. And it was like in my house and I was like screaming and I like didn't know how to get him out. I was like trying to push him with a broom and he was like holding onto the floor. Like it was like the most traumatic. It scared me more than the time that the drunk guy tried to break into my house.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Was the time that a frog was attached to my leg. Yeah.
Same
Ooh,
thing.
speaking of the
basically.
last one at the wedding, there is a spider moment in there. Just be
Yeah.
aware.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. That book was so good.
I need to read it.
Oh my god. I just finished 5 stars. I added it to like my favorite 2024.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just keep in mind it is very different than Hidden Pictures.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
different.
But
Mhm.
it's not. I was kind of expecting like an Agatha Christie-esque like
Oh.
remote
Locked
location, like locked room. Yeah, like and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be into this. And then like as the plot like began, I was like, damn, like I'm really into this. Really, really into this. Yeah, it was really good.
Okay, the mother-in-law was like perfectly creepy.
Okay, the mother-in-law's like what I'm gonna be like in 30 years, I swear to God.
Oh my god. Oh, okay. Kate can't
Like,
wait
I'm
for
like-
you to read it and then like think about that.
That's so funny though. I would rather see something in a movie than like in a book.
Oh really?
I feel like if it's like coming up in a movie, I can like close my eyes really quick, but like in a book, it can like sneak attack because like you're reading it and like all of a sudden it's like, and then like he like chopped off their elbow or something, and you're like, oh fuck.
I think you're like, you specifically seem so visual when it comes to visualizing books. I think I'm a little more like, I can like blur it out.
I wish. No, I like yeah. No, I picture like everything.
Yeah, I like kind of love that for you though.
I think I
And it's so
picture
simple.
most things.
Yeah.
Like Burner was hard. Burner was
I
really,
bet.
really, really hard to read. Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter was really hard to read.
yeah.
The Good
Did you know
Daughter.
that? Did you know that Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter is on Kindle Unlimited?
Yes, I did.
Good segue. Solid
So.
segue. God, that was good.
So we are going to talk about Kindle Unlimited thrillers that you should read, or that we read and loved, however you want to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Was Pretty Girls on your list?
Pretty Girls was number 1 on my list. And then Pretty Girls went off from my list because I was like, you have to stop talking about Pretty Girls and Jar of Hearts and Bright Young Women all the time.
Has it been a
It
while?
was one where I saw that it was on Kindle Unlimited, so it was like I wrote it. I was like, okay, this is one. It's like my backup ish.
Yeah. Pretty Girls definitely like if you haven't read Pretty Girls and you have Kindle Unlimited, like that is like the best
That's what you need to go
free
read.
treat you can get yourself.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it's on there, honestly.
I am too.
Mm-hmm.
Are a lot of her books on there?
I don't know.
Quite a few. Not all of them.
Because like I looked at Lisa Jewell because in your last episode someone had put I found you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I happened to look and I think only one of them is on there right now. So like some authors it's like their whole collection, and other authors it seems to be kind of sporadic.
Yeah. I noticed that too.
Well, I can start with one.
Okay.
And this one's fun because I loved it and I interviewed the authors, and it's called Fatal Intrusion by Jeffrey Deaver and Isabella Maldonado. And I flew through this one even though it's like long, like 450 pages. Carmen Sanchez is a tough Homeland Security agent who plays by the rules. But when her sister is attacked, revealing a connection to a series of murders across Southern California, she realizes a conventional investigation will not be enough to stop the ruthless perpetrator. With nowhere else to run, Sanchez enlists the aid of Professor Jake Heron, a brilliant and quirky private security expert who, unlike Sanchez, believes rules are merely suggestions. The two have a troubled past, but he owes her a favor and she's cashing in. They team up to catch the assailant, who mystifyingly has no discernible motive and fits no classic criminal profile. All they have to go on is a distinctive tattoo and a singular obsession that gives this chillingly efficient tactician his nickname, Spider. Spider reference coming back. Over the next 72 hours, Sanchez and Heron find themselves in the midst of a lethal chess match with the killer as they race to stop the carnage. As the victims mount, so do the risks, because this spider's web of intrigue is more sinister and goes far deeper than anyone could possibly anticipate. And there's like, this will appeal to a lot of different readers. If you like serial killer thrillers, and really like, it reminded me of Nordic noir too. So like, if you like those kind of stories, you'll enjoy this. If you like serial killer stories in general, you'll like this. And if you like tech related thrillers, you'll also like this.
Gare's like, fuck me up with this book, right?
I know, I'm like foaming at the mouth.
Do you want me to send you my copy? Because they sent me one.
Here's the weird thing I have to tell you guys is I'm believing in like signs and synchronicities, and something big is going to happen in my life, because two things I did yesterday were I wrote an article for She Reads about thrillers by Indigenous authors, and I included the Nick Medina book that you referenced earlier, and I have not read it, but I was like, this sounds so good. I added it to my TBR and I included it in an article. When that article was done, I cleaned out my bookshelves and forgot to text message Kate and tell her that I found a paperback arc of Fatal Intrusion.
Whoa, you are
like,
really
that was all yesterday. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm either going to be like a millionaire or like super skinny or like, I don't know.
Married. Something major. Buy a lottery ticket, Gare.
Yeah.
I know, right? Could you imagine?
Yeah.
I would be like, we're all just going to podcast every day. We're all just going to be rich housewives.
That is the goal.
Just rich housewives.
Yeah.
And I'll pay for our tour. And I'll convince Taco Bell to sponsor us.
Yes. I'm here for it.
I know, right? So, yeah. So I do want to read that, and I found an arc of it. So it's paperback also, which is
nice. That's
Just,
even better.
I know. I was like, wow.
That's
That's
crazy.
exciting.
Oh my gosh.
Well, who wants to go next?
Gary, you can go.
Okay. I'll do it. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. Hell yeah. I picked books that I don't think I've talked about.
Nice.
Shockingly enough.
I have
So
some of each.
my first one's by Jessica Knoll. No, I'm just kidding. My first one, this kind of reminds me of like a horror movie in a way, like from like the 90s. So I wanted to include that because, you know, we're approaching Halloween. And my first one is The Inmate by Frida McFadden.
Oh.
There are 3 rules Brooke Sullivan must follow as a new nurse practitioner at a men's maximum security. 1, treat all prisoners with respect. 2, never reveal any personal information. And 3, never, ever become too friendly with the inmates. But none of the staff at the prison knows Brooke has already broken the rules. Nobody knows about her intimate connection to Shane Nelson, one of the penitentiary's most notorious and dangerous inmates. And they certainly don't know that Shane was Brooke's high school sweetheart, the star quarterback who is now spending the rest of his life in prison for a series of grisly murders. Or that Brooke's testimony was what put him there. But Shane knows, and he'll never forget. So it has dual timeline. And man, it is just so well paced. It's wild. I absolutely loved it. I never saw the ending coming. And I just feel like it's like one of those Frida books that like people don't talk about a lot.
Was it one of the newer ones?
I think it's like probably the second or the third one that I've read by her, but like I would say it's probably like came out in the last like 5 years or so.
Okay. I thought it reminded me there was one that came out maybe like 2 or 3 of them ago, but maybe that was different. Okay, anyway, keep going.
There's one called Ward D.
That's it, maybe.
Okay. And I always get them confused because their covers kind of look similar. No shade to Frida, but like,
yeah,
the covers look a little similar. But yeah, The Inmate, so good, so good. And the dual timeline, she just does a really good job with that. So I think that it's like super fun.
It sounds like her pacing is just like top tier fast.
Impossible to put down.
Sweet.
Even like, I mean, listen, like when you have somebody like Frida who has like what 15-20 books or so, like not all of them are gonna like hit for you, you know, but like even the ones that like weren't my favorites by her, still I like read in a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
She's just fun.
I've only read The Locked Room by her.
I have not read that one yet. And The Housemaid's going to be turned into a movie.
I just saw all of that, and you casted one of the characters perfectly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I picked Sydney Sweeney for Millie, and that's who's going to play Millie. I was like, holy shit.
That is so cool.
You know.
That's another thing in the last, 48 hours you found out?
Ooh,
oh my god.
They come in 3s.
She's right.
Jeez,
Got some stuff going on.
The group text is going to be on fire this weekend, kids.
My first one, it's funny that you reference like the Larry Bangs days, because this is one of like from a while ago I got from this podcast from Gare talking about it, is Real Easy by Marie Rutkowski.
We've come full circle.
Yeah, I have like a bunch of tabs in here because it was like pretty quotable.
Nice.
Let's see. It's 1990.
I feel like I'm watching my baby graduate right now. I'm just so proud.
I know. You always have like the good bleak ones.
That's why I love him so much.
And when I did my review, it was probably one time, like for sure, one of my like most liked posts.
Wow.
It's 1999 and Samantha has danced for years at the Lovely Lady Strip Club. She's not used to mixing work and friendship. After all, between her jealous boyfriend and his young daughter, she has enough on her plate. But the newest dancer is so clueless that Samantha feels compelled to help her learn the hustle and drama of the club. How to sweet talk the boss, fit in with the other women, and make good money. One night, when the new girl needs a ride home, Samantha agrees to drive, a simple decision that turns deadly. Georgia, another dancer drawn into the ensuing murder and missing person investigation, gathers information for Holly, a grieving detective determined to solve the case. Georgia just wants to help, but her involvement makes her a target. As Holly and Georgia round up their suspects, the story's point of view shifts between dancers, detectives, children, club patrons, and the killer. Drawing on her experience as a former dancer, Marie Rutkowski immerses us in the captivating world of the club, which comes alive with complicated people trying their best to protect themselves and those they love. And then it ends with, how do women live their lives knowing that men can hurt them? And I think that was like some of the most quotable things. Like one of the quotes that the first one I tabbed was, he tells her to work if that's what she wants. She should do what she wants. He is so sorry. She tries to make him feel better for having hurt her. Like the way that women like apologize when they're actually the ones that were hurt in the first place, just like stuck in my head still. And I'm like, damn, Marie, preach.
Damn, Marie.
Damn, Marie.
That sounds like a TikTok sound.
Yeah. I love that you picked that one so much because I spent like an embarrassing amount of time scrolling through like what books are available on Kindle Unlimited, and I did not even see that one. So I am just so proud right now. Like,
I need to read it. It's one that I didn't end up reading yet.
Yes.
I have so much to read.
You do.
You do. You do. And I'm always like, I'm like the worst peer pressure for your TBR. Because I'm not like, oh, I think you would enjoy this. I'm like, no, Kate, this like needs to be your, like, you need to have this book in your life. And I'm like, psycho.
My TBR grew exponentially when I started listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, but I read some good ones, that's for sure.
That's an amazing pick.
Same. Well, actually, this is kind of a fun segue because I'm going to talk about a book that Steph posted about that then I read.
All right.
So perfect.
We're just
The Prediction by Faith Gardner is so fun. If you like Black Mirror adjacent, like sci-fi light would be more what I would say, and a thriller. But this one, what is it about? Welcome to Silicon Valley, where the weather is perfect, the income is high, and Rowena Snyder is miserable. A transplant from New York. Is it Rowena or Rowena?
I don't know.
I think Rowena.
Okay, Rowena moves into her husband Jacob's idyllic childhood home with their new baby. But suburbia isn't Rowena's cup of Starbucks, and she's got serious anxiety and depression to boot. Jacob, worried about their marriage, scores a new product currently in beta testing from his tech job, Maxine, a digital friend that bonds with an individual by continually gathering their personal data. Along with functioning like an upscale digital assistant, Maxine has advice and prediction modes that have shown promise for patients with mental health issues. To Rowena's shock, the device turns out to be not just helpful but eerily accurate, predicting events before they occur. It's a godsend until Maxine offers a series of increasingly bone-chilling predictions that will change Rowena's life forever.
I actually had that on my backup list.
I know. I love, like, Amen Maxine was the original name, and I like that cover a lot more. I like that one a lot.
I like want to know the backstory of why it changed, but like I don't know.
I know. Who knows?
Maybe like Amen Maxine doesn't sound as much of like a techie like sci-fi thriller than like
Yeah, I could see that.
I just read a Faith Gardner book for the first time because of Steph too. Like It Never Was.
What'd you think? Was it bonkers?
Fucking wild.
Yeah, it was wild.
That opening, that like first chapter is one of the like my favorite like first chapters I've ever read.
I was like, what?
where I was like, bananas. And then I like texted Kate and I was like, this is fucking crazy.
Yeah. It is.
Um,
It's super crazy.
yeah, it was good. It was a good one. I don't have a segue.
That's okay.
But in typical Garrett fashion, I am cheating a little bit because my next pick isn't one that I've read, but it's one that I'm dying to read, and I'm like actually picking up. Like I'm going to start it when we're done recording the podcast. So I was like, that's enough.
Nice.
So my my second pick is The Thicket by Noelle W. Ely. Sounds very like creepy Halloweeny. This is the new cover, and I'm obsessed with it. I know it's dark in here because I live in dreary, bleak New York, but this cover is sick.
Her new
Sick,
covers are
y'all.
so good. Yeah.
So Nora can't stop thinking about the night her brother died. She was supposed to stay with him at the Halloween carnival, and he begged her to stay, but they'd fought, and Nora left him alone in the woods. That was before she realized there was a real killer lurking among the costumes and macabre props. When the carnival reopens just weeks later amid a media controversy, Nora decides to retrace her brother's last steps in a desperate attempt to unravel what really happened that night. But the woods hold more than just traumatic memories. Before long, Nora begins to suspect that the killer's choice of hunting ground was no coincidence, and that the nightmare is far from over.
That does sound good for fall Halloween.
So I actually found out about this one a while ago, and I've had it on my TBR forever because somebody compared it to like Scream and like some like the 90s like horror movies, and I was like, this sounds so good. So good.
Did you read Run on Red by her?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that with actually multiple of her books, like that one and Room for Rent, where they're like that, where there's like the chase and you just feel tense the whole time.
Wow.
Run on Red is like one of the best paced books I've ever read in my entire life.
I have to read this.
Yeah. She
Says
has not
Kate
let me down
every
once.
week.
I had it here too.
Ooh.
I love
I
it.
think of Ask for Andrea like at least once a week.
Oh yeah.
That's bleak as fuck.
Yes. I cried at the end, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. It was really good, but like as I keep reading her books, it's a little bit different in terms of like it's fast paced, but like Run on Red and some of them have this like breakneck like action, and I feel like Ask for Andrea is just kind of like a little bit a different point to the assignment or like a different intention.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just so good.
For sure.
I'm trying to like angle it so you guys can like see me because I feel like
I know you it is just getting darker and darker.
It's like if all you can see is like yellow hoodie, I'm here in spirit.
You're here.
Wait, is it my turn?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know this one you all talked about on your last episode. Granted, it was a while ago, but I just saw, maybe I'm behind the times, that they're doing a TV show about it. And that's His and Hers by Alice Feeney. Because I just saw it. I know someone posted about it, but then I just saw her post about it, like with the director's chairs, kind of. So I think that this book felt like just such a classic thriller, like in my opinion. And I think that if you haven't read an Alice Feeney book, this is a great one. There are two sides to every story, yours and mine, ours and theirs, his and hers, which means someone is always lying. Anna Andrews will do almost anything for her career as a BBC news anchor. When she's asked to report on a woman's murder in Blackdown, the sleepy countryside village where she grew up, it soon becomes clear that Anna isn't just covering the story, she's at the heart of it. Detective Chief Inspector Jack Harper is suspicious of Anna's involvement in the case. He knows she knew the victim, but he hasn't told anyone that he knew her too. And Jack soon realizes he is a suspect in his own murder investigation. Someone knows more than they are letting on. Someone isn't telling the truth. Alternating between Anna's and Jack's points of view, His and Hers is a highly addictive, fast-paced thriller with a killer twist that will keep readers guessing until the very end. I don't know if there is another author that just like fucks with my mind like Alice Feeney. Like you just know immediately that you're reading her books because you're just like, what's happening? And she's such a little like minx about it. Like I love it.
His and Hers is my favorite Alice Feeney book.
Oh, it's good. It's
and
really
there's a very dark reveal in that one.
Very.
Like,
and it like it flips things like on their head basically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you what, I don't remember all the stuff. I just remember
you're like, I loved it. I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I remember like who at the end that I was like, oh, okay. But a lot of the rest of the stuff, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. But I loved it.
I have a very like visceral like memory of like a reveal around like a campfire with that one, and I was like, this is just like perfect.
At the end, can we recap it after we're done recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'll never forget it.
Okay, perfect. So I'm interested to see how that goes, if it's going to be a series or a movie or like how they're doing it, because like the twistiness of her books, I am just fascinated by how they could put it into a show.
Yeah. I still hope that they do something with Sometimes I Lie.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was supposed to be Sarah Michelle Gellar, and then Ellen DeGeneres decided to like have the world realize that she's an asshole, and they didn't make it. I was like, you ruined everything for Sarah Michelle Gellar fans.
I know.
Kate, do you hear something in your house?
Yeah. Tyler came back, and I'm like, is everything okay?
Do you want to go check?
You can check.
So, he said he had texted me and said he was going to the hospital. And so then the fact that he came back, I was like, oh no. Is there a reason he can't go to the hospital? So that's why I was starting to like freak out. But he fell on his one wheel. He went for a one wheel ride before he went to the hospital. He fell on his one wheel. That's what's happening right now.
Okay.
Yeah. His elbow doesn't have much skin on it, I think.
Is it like the skateboard one wheel or like the standing one wheel?
Skateboard looking one.
Because I just noticed this weekend that there's a different type of one wheel that I had no idea existed.
Yeah, that's what you're thinking of.
Okay.
He was wearing his helmet though. He wants you guys to know.
Well, that's good.
I'm like here thinking like something really bad happened, like, and that's why you couldn't go to the hospital. So I'm like, oh my god, did something terrible happen? They're like, Kate, do you need to look at something in your house?
No, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go have a casual cruise real quick and just have some fun, and then it did not end fun. But I'm here.
Poor buddy.
All right, have fun.
I love
now he's
Tyler.
Gonna go to the hospital.
I love Tyler grabbing the mic.
I know.
In front of Kate.
Update.
I'll tell the story.
Yeah. I love that so much.
That was intense.
Is your heart rate coming down now?
Yeah, it's coming back down now.
Well, we were like, you can tell like something's happening when like we're talking about like Alice Feeney or something.
Right.
And Kate's like
I'm
looking and she's like eavesdropping, and I was like, this feels very much like the call is coming from inside the house. So I was like, are you okay?
Well, what was weird is at the beginning of it, I told you guys, I was like, either Tyler came back or Harley's getting into something, so I need to go look. So then I went, and it was just Harley making noises. And I was like, okay. So then this time I was like, is that Tyler? Is that my dog? Like, it was so confused. And then I saw like the camera notification, and I was like, oh, it's Tyler. Okay. Well, mystery solved.
There you go.
Well, glad it turned out as chill as it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too. Okay. Well, my next one, I was shocked because Gare and I did 2 episodes like this a couple years ago. Was it 2 years ago now? I don't
think
know.
so.
At least a year ago. And so he pulled out the list of the ones we did for that, and I thought this one probably was on it, but I bet it got added recently. So,
Oh,
A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Billingham is on Kindle
really?
Unlimited now. Did I take that?
Oh, I didn't know that was on there. Okay.
Yeah, so it must be new. That's probably
Mhm.
why we
I
didn't
thought
use
the
it on the
same
other
thing.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when Chloe Davis was 12, 6 teenage girls went missing in her small Louisiana town. By the end of the summer, Chloe's father had been arrested as a serial killer and promptly put in prison. Chloe and the rest of her family were left to grapple with the truth and try to move forward while dealing with the aftermath. Now, 20 years later, Chloe is a psychologist in private practice in Baton Rouge and getting ready for her wedding. She finally has a fragile grasp on the happiness she's worked so hard to get. Sometimes, though, she feels as out of control of her own life as the troubled teens who are her patients. And then a local teenage girl goes missing, and then another. And that terrifying summer comes crashing back. Is she paranoid and seeing parallels that aren't really there, or for the second time in her life, is she about to unmask a killer? It is so good.
It is.
I think they're turning
Ooh,
that
there's
one
an
into a TV
update
show.
here that says in a debut novel that has already been optioned for a limited series by Emma Stone.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I was
That's
just going to say
exciting.
that. That's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this
Okay.
one is just, it's also one that kind of feels like a classic thriller. Like
Yeah.
serial killer parent, like more
Yeah.
serial killings happening.
I love like a backstory involving a serial killer and like the question on if it's like, did we get the wrong guy or did he have like an accomplice or is this a copycat? Like that's just like a trope in like serial killer thrillers that like will always just draw me right in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I stayed up late to finish that or like to read that one. Like it kept me awake.
Mm-hmm.
Nighttime reading is hard for me. So that's
Me
good.
too. I
That
fall
one's-
asleep easily.
The cover is so good too.
Yeah, I love the cover.
I remember being like super pumped for that one. Like when it was like announced, I was like, this is going to be something special.
Mm-hmm.
I like read that when I first started getting back into reading in like 2022.
Mm.
So that was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one.
Gare, what you just
Oh.
talked about seems like a segue.
What? Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Oh. Speaking of serial killers.
There we go.
Speaking of serial killers and a little bit of romance between two men, what can go wrong? My next pick is The Murder Between Us by Tal Bauer. It's a duology. It's the first in a duology, so like if you love this one, then like the second one's even better. But it was just one night, it was just one mistake. FBI agent Noah Downing had questions about his sexuality that in a single night in Vegas should have answered. But Dawn finds him on a plane back to Iowa, back on the trail of a vicious serial killer who disappeared 6 years ago and has suddenly resurfaced. There's nothing like a murder investigation to escape an existential crisis. Meanwhile, FBI profiler Cole Kennedy is still reeling after finding a heart-stopping connection with a seemingly perfect man only for him to vanish. When he's sent to Iowa to profile the killer terrorizing America's heartland, he finds more questions than answers, both about the murderer and about Noah, the last man he ever expected to see again. A twisted secret stretches between Cole and Noah, tangled with questions they both have about each other. But now thrown together, they have to unravel the killer's profile and follow his trail, way back to the beginning, to where everyone's questions are answered for once and for all.
There's a 4.25 on Goodreads with over 6,700 ratings.
It's like dark, right?
The serial killer's dark. I picked this up not thinking it was going to be as dark as it was. I picked it up because it was like an MM romance, and I've read hockey MM romance by Tal Bauer and love them. But I picked this one up because I thought it was like no shade to Tal Bauer, I love him, but like I thought this was going to be like kind of like a little like lighter than it was, because like it starts off with like two men having a one night stand who think that they're never going to see each other again, and then they're like, oh no, we're just going to investigate a serial killer together, like, and try to avoid the elephant in the room. But then like as I was reading it, I was like, this is like really scary, really scary. And it was like super dark and it was really twisted. The second book has the scariest serial killer I've ever read in my entire life, and is even darker than.
It's the second one, yeah.
Yeah. The second one has the like scariest serial killer I've ever read, and it's like even more dark than this one. Like they're perfect. I love them so much.
It has a 4.45, the second one.
That is high.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know when people really like the first of a series and they're probably likely to like the second one in a series. I mean, you'd think, but like that's a huge Goodreads score.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. And it's like hard too, because I was like, well, in the second one, like their relationship's like a little bit more established, so there's not like that drama. But then like the way that he turns their story into something like really dramatic and scary, it was chef's kiss. And it's very like atmospheric.
I love it.
Nice.
Yeah. It's like one of my favorite books ever.
That's awesome. My third one is very much a Steph book, I would say, if I had to like put my taste into one thing, and that's Jane Doe by Victoria Helen Stone. And if you love like the supporting women's rights and wrongs type books and having like a snarky female main character who's like out for justice after something happened to one of her friends, this is an awesome, like fast-paced, easy read that's like hell yeah. So this was just like the vibes were on point for me. Very on point. I haven't read the second one. I know there's another one.
The second one's good.
Is it? Yeah, I loved it. I loved it so much. And I love when like, yes, the woman out for revenge like is out to get a shitty man, but there's also like a romantic relationship to root for. So it's not like all men are the worst, or all, like there's still some good ones out there, but we're gonna like the bad ones are gonna get what they deserve, which I love.
Yes. I'm here for that.
Me too. Yeah. She does really good with like female rage and revenge.
So my next one is This Family Lies by J.M. Cannon. I was obsessed with this book, and I definitely would have read it in like one day if I didn't have something I had to go to. So Iris Adler was supposed to be killed. In her home in southern Louisiana, Iris and her husband Joseph are both shot point blank in the head by an unknown assailant. While her husband is killed, Iris survives, but only by a ricochet. She wakes with her memory fractured. She doesn't remember her husband's family, eager as they are to take her into their world of marble maids and prim southern manners. Not long after Iris goes to heal at the family's historic plantation, a girl is found dead in the sugarcane stalks nearby. And of these wealthy, strange people Iris is surrounded by, she realizes one of them might still be trying to kill her. The only thing certain is that not everyone is getting out of this alive. It is like so atmospheric, like suffocatingly southern. Like I felt like I could not breathe through the humidity of this book. But it's also a fun take on being a rich person, but you don't have your memory, so you don't know how you are. And so it's a fun take on the kind of like bad wealthy people, but very atmospheric. And it has one of the more graphic deaths I've read at the very end.
Oh. That kind of says a lot as a thriller reader.
Yeah, really.
It was graphic. It was very gothic.
That's a lot too, considering like I've recommended some like Nordic noir for you,
Yeah,
and like those are pretty like.
it was up there with those basically for
Ooh,
sure.
Mm.
Hmm.
sign me up. Sign me up. Um. Well, speaking of atmospheric, if you liked the show The Killing,
Mm.
I would recommend The Drowned Girls by Lauer Ann White.
Mm.
Um, he surfaced 2 years ago, then he disappeared. But Detective Angie Pallarino never forgot the violent rapist who left a distinct calling card, crosses etched into the flesh of his victims' foreheads. When a comatose Jane Doe is found near a local cemetery, sexually assaulted, mutilated, and nearly drowned, Angie is struck by the eerie similarities in her earlier unsolved rapes. Could he be back? Then the body of a drowned young woman floats up in the gorge, also bearing the marks of the serial rapist, and the hunt for a predator becomes a hunt for a killer. Assigned to the Joint Investigation Task Force, Angie is more than ready to prove that she has what it takes to break into the all-male homicide division. But her private life collides with her professional ambitions when she's introduced to her temporary partner, James Maddox, a man she met the night before in an intense anonymous encounter. Together, Angie and Maddox agree to put that night behind them, but as their search for the killer intensifies, so does their mutual desire. And Angie's forays into the mind of a monster shake loose some unsettling secrets about her own past. How can she fight for the truth when it turns out her whole life is a lie?
Bruce really wants to read it.
This is like, that sounds fucking great.
He's like, that was a great synopsis. Oh, sweet boy, it's okay.
So that's the first in a trilogy, and they're all fantastic, and they all have amazing covers.
Yeah, the covers are so beautiful.
Yeah, they're just
Wow.
fantastic. I love The Killing with all of my heart. I think that it is sensational.
Like,
I also did not realize that my last two picks were like both like literally like people teaming up to like fight or like find a serial killer that have like had sex.
you're right.
Okay, I didn't know that about the second one.
Yeah, it said in the synopsis.
I guess.
It says that her new partner is a man she met the night before in an intense anonymous encounter.
Oh. Yeah.
And it's a laugh out loud kind of situation. Like you'll be like, good for you, girl.
Get it.
Get
Get it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll always support that. My third one, I don't think I've talked about before on here, and it's a little on the, I would consider it pretty universally recommendable because I don't feel like it's super dark or anything, unlike some of the other ones we've talked about, and that's The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins.
That one was fun.
Yeah. I actually listened to this one on audio, and I will say that sometimes on Kindle Unlimited, it will include audio, and that means that you can listen to it on the Audible app, even if you don't subscribe to Audible. So just kind of like keep that in mind if you're an audio listener. Sometimes that is an option, and it'll like pick up where you left off if you're eyeball reading versus listening, which is very cool. I've never done that, but I know some people do.
Tyler does actually. That's how he reads books.
I always have just like one of each going. I very rarely would ever like go back and forth. But I know some people do that a lot. So this one is, I would say I recommend it for people that kind of liked Evelyn Hugo potentially, but are maybe like dipping their toes into thrillers or anything like that. When Ruby McTavish Callahan Woodward Miller Kenmore dies, she's not only North Carolina's richest woman, she's also its most notorious. The victim of a famous kidnapping as a child and a widow 4 times over, Ruby ruled the tiny town of Tavistock from Ashby House, her family's estate high in the Blue Ridge Mountains. But in the aftermath of her death, her adopted son, Camden, wants little to do with the house or the money, and even less to do with the surviving McTavishes. Instead, he rejects his inheritance, settling into a normal life as an English teacher in Colorado and marrying Jules, a woman just as eager to escape her own messy past. 10 years later, his uncle's death pulls Cam and Jules back into the family fold at Ashby House. Its views are just as stunning as ever, its rooms just as elegant, but the legacy of Ruby is inescapable. And as Ashby House tightens its grip on Jules and Camden, questions about the infamous heiress come to light. Was there any truth to the persistent rumors following Ruby's disappearance as a little girl? What really happened to those 4 husbands who all died under mysterious circumstances? And why did she adopt Cam in the first place? Soon, Jules and Cam realize that an inheritance can entail far more than what's written in a will, and that the bonds of family stretch far beyond the grave.
That one was so fun.
It was fun. That's the only Rachel Hawkins book that I've read. I think I was drawn in by the cover big time because it's pretty gorgeous.
All of her covers are good.
Ugh,
Kate,
yeah.
I think you're muted.
I am. My dog was being loud. Now I'm here. You were really right too, how you were saying like for people who do like Evelyn Hugo, but like want to dip their toe into thriller. That's like
That was
perfect
an amazing
audience.
blurb.
Mm-hmm.
I think, thank you. In one of my book clubs, there's a lot of like not typical thriller readers.
Mm.
So like I've become so very conscious of that, of like, they're probably not going to read like those Laura Than White books, but I could definitely bring the Heiress to the group.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I would get kicked out on day one.
Yeah. So we're kind of trying to figure out where that like boundary is, but it's like fun to like try other stuff. But it is so interesting when you become so used to reading really dark stuff.
Yes.
Reading not dark stuff is like a total shift in mindset where you're like I just read kind of a cozy like witchy book and it was very cute, but I was like, you have to kind of like switch your mindset so that you're not bored by like just dark and gross happening.
Exactly.
I know. That's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I talked about it in one of my stories, but I had someone asking if I wanted to read an interview for a cozy mystery. And it just felt so weird sending my email back that I'm like, don't like my murder cozy.
I know.
I just would hate to be, I mean, obviously it's a fictional character, but can you imagine being murdered and being like, oh, I'm going to go out in style, and then being like, your murder's in a cozy mystery instead of like something by Jennifer Hillier?
Yeah.
Like a lot of them have a lot to do with like, or at least the ones that I've seen, and I read one and I was like, that's not really for me, was like food and recipes and stuff.
Yes.
Joanna Fluke.
Yeah.
I used to read Joanne Fluke, like the blueberry muffin murder.
Oh, it wasn't that, but it was,
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds, or like, there's the ones, someone told me they're actually like not bad. Like if you go on NetGalley or something and or Book Outlet and there's all these like mysteries with like dogs and cats on the cover and they'll have like pet related titles and stuff. And I'm like, so you're telling me this is a murder mystery, but it's got like a golden retriever on the cover. Like, okay, you should check it out. It's entertaining just to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm intrigued.
I used to read ones about a woman named Hannah, and she like owned her own bakery. And like each one is named after a dessert like in her bakery. And they would just be like very cozy. But then like I obviously got into the dark stuff and I was like, can't go back now.
Don't need that anymore.
Good luck to you, Hannah.
She has so many more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she wrote some romance.
Yeah, under
Yeah.
Alessandra Tori.
Mm-hmm.
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 Yes.
There's like one that's called The Fatal Affair that came out, I think, last summer. And that's the only one by her I haven't read. And I looked up the synopsis today and I was like, ooh, that looks like so good. I wish that we had like a Watch What Happens live drinking game.
Oh, that would be fun.
So if you listen to this podcast after work, do not sue us if you have to get your stomach pumped, but you should have drank every time we said the word dark.
We're not responsible
for again talking about this book, because I think the only thing I'll say, and I kind of said this to Kate when she texted me, because all I can say without giving anything away is like, if this book goes the way that the main character schemes, you're
Mhm.
like, this is the darkest possible book I've read. Like, so
Yes.
I was just like, holy shit.
I think
Yeah.
this is probably one of the books that, like, as much as I would love to see it like adapted, that people would like walk out or be like, you're sick. You're like,
People would struggle with it.
You're
Yeah.
sick for like enjoying this.
I know.
Like,
that was what
you
I
are-
said. Like, I was like, I'm examining myself for how much I love this story.
I loved,
Right.
like you said, like very unlikable, but like I
Mhm.
loved the snark in her voice and like
I know.
how sharp-witted she was.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because that's what takes it from, yeah, it is a really like wild synopsis, but when you're reading it, like there's this piece of it that's still kind of fun, and it's like, how can these two things go together? And that
Yeah.
I give so much credit to the author for being able to do that.
Yeah, the way the reveals are placed, it like keep that feeling going, and then the stakes are just so high. So
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen?
Yes, and I love the little, like at the beginning of the chapters when they have little blurbs from like the neighbors and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that was just so cool and made it so bingeable.
Yes, I loved that too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was
Yeah,
so good.
especially like I feel like she did a good job of like having those like little blurbs from like the neighbors and people that like know the characters, because like some of them would be like spot on, and then like others would be like, that's not exactly true, you know.
Like
So
you
it's
got
like
played. Yeah.
And it also like one of the things that I liked about that one is like there are certain like rich people who will like truly plot out what you know about them.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, totally.
Yes.
And
And
I'm
it
glad I'm
felt
seeing
like
it. Yeah.
so real to maybe like social media, or I guess almost like Missing White Woman or something, where it's kind of like what people say, you know that the viewers are going to take that as true. Even though, like you just said, Gare, like that was intentional, why they thought they knew that in that particular way. Very interesting.
Yes.
Like my friends and my like family make fun of me because I like, this is very unusual for me to be wearing yellow, because I usually wear like white, cream, gray, and black, and like that's it. Like I stick to like a 90% neutral wardrobe. And there was like one part where Perla was like saying like it's in her character to only wear neutrals, and I was like, oh, fuck.
I know.
Same.
It just means you look sharp.
I love your casting, Gare, for it.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's really good.
That was a good one.
Because
I almost had Margot Robbie as Perla.
Interesting. I mean,
I kind of like Riley more.
I do too.
Yeah. Did you all watch Under the Bridge?
No,
I
I
watched
haven't watched
half of
it
it
yet.
With Lily, Lily Gladstone? Is that her name?
Yes.
Yeah.
I really liked, what's her name? Riley?
Riley Keough.
In that role. Like it was dark, but like a little, I don't know how to describe it. She was serious, but like a little playful at times, and so I think that is fitting.
Yeah.
Like kind of snarky, like Perla is.
I watched The Girlfriend Experience with Riley Keough in it. It's a TV show where she like is a college student who becomes like an escort, and her character is very like emotionally withdrawn and is very good at like, I'm not stressed about this, like I can emotionally detach, and that's kind of why like I picked her, because I just love her in The Girlfriend Experience.
When I Google that show, when I think of what the title is and what I think of as this like main photo of her in it, I'm like, that's not, they like kind of clash, but if you're saying what it's about, it makes more sense. Because when you think Girlfriend Experience, you think it's going to be like fun.
Oh no, it's dark.
No. I don't know.
It's dark and twisty, but I think like each episode's like a half hour, and it's a very fun show
I want
to
to
like
watch
binge.
this.
Yeah, I know. I just was writing it down.
Her acting in it is like sensational, and like the cinematography is like really good.
Wow. I need to
Yeah.
watch that.
Yeah.
Well, I know what I'm doing tonight.
Mhm.
Maybe. I also started a new book.
What
Which
did you
one?
start?
It's called Gaslight by Miles, I can't pronounce his last name, and Sarah Shepard.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
The cover is
Sarah
really
Shepard.
cool.
I love Sarah Shepard.
Miles Joris Peyrafit. So I'm gonna figure his name out before I interview him, but it's Miles and Sarah Shepard for now.
You know,
It's like about a woman who like survived a cult and
Oh.
then basically didn't tell anyone in her new life about it, and then someone from her old life shows up on her doorstep. That's like the shortest version of explaining it.
Damn.
Everything
cover's cool.
unravels again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The cover is so cool. And they were sending me a copy, and I thought I was going to get here today, and then it got delayed. So I was going to be like, and look, it's so pretty. But y'all are just going to have to look it up yourself.
I've seen
Do
it a
it.
little bit floating around.
Yeah.
Can I say that if you like Perla in some ways, and I also think it could be good for fans of Kill for Love. No, How to Kill. The one with
Kill
the
for
black
Love.
with all the bodies on the front. All
Yeah,
the
Kill for
Kill
Love.
for Love by Laura Pickles-Meyer.
Yes. I just
One of my
started
favorite books ever.
Sugar by Mia Ballard. And it's like
That
I think you
cover.
could use all of those characters together because I don't think she's
Hmm.
necessarily like likable, but she has some qualities of other lead female characters that we all like. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see where that one goes. But the cover is
And the cover is the coolest thing ever.
and
How have I never heard of this book?
I had
I
neither
tried-
until she sent it to me.
Well, and then I was like 2% in, and I'm like, I think Kate would like this. And so I'm
I
trying
need
to figure
check
out,
it
like, as it goes, I'm like, is it still that way? I think so, but like,
I
it's
bet.
it's
They need to accept my request.
Mhm.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
If you've made it to this far in the episode
Right.
and you like snarky, bitchy, like characters like Perla, but you don't want something as dark,
Mm-hmm.
White Girl Problems by Babe Walker.
Mm.
It is so funny, but she is like a psycho. But like it's not dark, there's no murder in it, but like it will make you laugh out loud. I am a huge Babe Walker fan. It's kind of like Perla meets any character played by Emma Roberts.
Mm.
They're
Okay.
Psychos is great. American Babe.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm obsessed with Babe Walker. Probably the only non-thriller, non-MM romance books that I'll read. But yeah, if you like that, like snarky, like, oh my god, did she really just say that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the synopsis, just like the exaggerations. Like, she's never met. She has 50 bajillion Twitter followers. I love it. Anyway, well, so we all love snarky characters, I guess.
We all
so.
love snarky characters, and clearly Kindle Unlimited just keeps improving.
Yeah.